Hi, my name is Nick, and today's tooltip is going to be on importing site data. This is an excellent way of showing the true topography of a site that you're going to be working with. To use the command, we're going to go up to Terrain, and we're going to select the Import Site Data button. This will pop up a message letting you know that once you create a tin terrain, that it's going to lose any of the controls that you have by using the slope tool, the plateau tool. All of the tools that you would normally use with your terrain are not going to work with the tin terrain. So we're going to say OK to this, and this will then bring up the terrain import wizard. To go further from here, you will need to acquire a file from your site surveyor which will contain the data points that you need to use, and this can come in a variety of different formats. So if we click the Browse button, we can see here, if I use the drop-down list, all the different file formats that you can use, that you can obtain from your site surveyor. In my particular case, I'm going to be using a CSV file, or a comma separated value file. When I select that, I have this file saved to my desktop, and I'm just going to simply select it and say Open. This will then show me the different formats that I can break it up into, and the different formats and the delimiters, and it gives me a little preview of what that's going to look like. As you can see here under my preview, I have X, Y, Z, and then a browse option or a couple of dots. This is not the right format, so I want to change this to be number X, Y, Z, and now I can see that my values or my points are set up in X, Y, Z, and I can see those values there. Again, I'm using a comma separated value file, so I can just use the comma delimiter, but if you're using a different file format, you can use the drop down and select any one of these other options. Once you have your information set up here, you can click Next, and this will then bring up the Units and Special Items page. And here you'll be able to select the type of units that you want to be importing. In this particular file, I'm going to be using the feet option, and we can again select Next. If you don't know the file units that you need to be using, you can actually step through here and see the actual size. And if it's too small or too big, you can actually click the back button and change the values and then proceed again until you get the desired width and height. Another thing we want to look at is the minimum Z value and the Z offset. So this is basically telling you how high the minimum Z value is, and then your Z offset is going to be basically used to lower this back down. So if you have your terrain set at 0, then you will want to make sure that this minimum Z value is set as a negative in the Z offset, because that will bring the lowest point down to the 0 value. We can also use an angle option if we wanted to rotate this tin terrain within this view. I'm going to leave it as it is, but we can also set a crop box. So if we only want to see a portion of the terrain, we can create a crop box around that to just import that particular portion. I want to see the entire terrain, so I'm going to leave everything as it is, and I'm going to click Finish. Attached to my cursor is going to be that spot point, and then I'm going to left click once to place it right in the middle of my design in my terrain area. I've now imported my site data, and what I'm seeing here are actually just little spot points. If I want to see this in a 3D view, I can simply click on the 3D camera, select Perspective, and I can now see the terrain and how it's going to look. Now this is going to look very coarse, and that's because when I inserted it, it's set to the coarse setting. But I can adjust that by going to Settings, Document Settings, and under Terrain, I have a tin smoothing option. As you can see, it's set to coarse. And I can move the slider here up and down, and then say Apply and OK, and it will smooth out that terrain for me. And I can make that as smooth as I want. And that's how you insert site data. I hope this tooltip was helpful for you, and I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.